imagine somebody pulling a gun on you, you calling the police, and the person who pulled the gun on you all of a sudden has on a uniform now and is the police responding to your 911 call. That's exactly what happened to this individual who had a gun pulled out on him by an off-duty cop. Let's put his picture full mass. His name is Jason Leonore. So let me give you some background to this. An off-duty cop pulled out a gun on a man during a road rage incident, goes on duty. The cop then goes on duty to pull him over afterwards, and then tries to cover it up with his colleagues. The case involves that man right there. He's the victim, 33-year-old Hispanic black male. This is an incident that occurred April 2021. A lot of twists and turns here. When a man driving a green Honda pulled a gun on him during a traffic dispute, according to the Globe. Let me give a big shout out to the Globe, because if it had not been for their investigation, nobody would have believed this young brother, because the irony is so extreme. The man who pulled the gun on him turned out to be an off-duty transit cop named Jacob Green. And within moments, he allegedly began to conspire to cover up the event, according to police records and a search warrant affidavit obtained by the Globe. After the initial encounter, both men continued driving toward Mattapan. Green radioed another officer to pull Leonore over. All right, it gets worse, according to the search warrant affidavit. Then, back in uniform, walked to Leonore's driver's side window. Despite Green's allegation that Leonore drove dangerously and accosted him in traffic, Green cited him only for marked lanes violation, a citation that obviously was ultimately thrown out. So what do you have so far? You have a cop pulls out a gun on the citizen, he's off duty. The citizen decides to call 911. What does the cop do? The cop then goes on duty, radios his buddy, hey, pull this guy over. His buddy actually initially responds, interacts with the young man, and then the off-duty, now on-duty cop decides to approach the young man as well. Green, a 22-year veteran of the Transit Police Department, returned to the station and wrote 2 police reports, once again obtained by the Globe, saying that when Leonore initially approached his car, he had grabbed his gun, but kept it on his lap. And within 2 hours of the incident, he started calling and texting another transit police officer named Kevin Davis, who then came forward to claim he witnessed the whole thing from his car while being off duty. Bull. All right, so let's go to the DA. Let's put a picture up. The Suffolk DA, district attorney at the time, Rachel Rollins, launched an investigation. Now this is where it gets interesting, even more so. Transit police officials themselves found the incident troubling and had brought the matter to the DA. In short order, her office tapped a prosecutor from the Special Prosecutions Unit to oversee the case. And a transit police investigator obtained a search warrant for Green's and Davis's phones. But then this DA left the prosecutor's office to become the US attorney for Massachusetts earlier this year. So what happens to the investigation? Under the current DA, who is Kevin Hayden, let's put up a picture of Kevin, the case has stalled out. And an attorney for Green has claimed that the DA's office told him that the case was over and done with. GOP Governor Charlie Baker appointed Hayden, who was running in the September 6th Democratic primary. So behind the scenes, Hayden ushered in changes that compounded the issue. Let me get into that. Hayden hiring as his first assistant, Kevin Mullen, a former prosecutor and defense attorney who has represented troubled law enforcement officers and is the nephew of a retired Boston police superintendent. The DA's Special Prosecutions Unit, which is often charged with prosecuting law enforcement officials, lost nearly all of its staff in the transition, okay? Virtually everybody. It's 3 prosecutors left this spring, and Hayden has not yet filled those positions. Isn't that something? Once again, law enforcement operating in a way that's antithetical to the community, that's adversarial to transparency, that does not make sense to individuals who are in position to benefit from an actual investigation. The young man at the center of this, he was done wrong. Criminal activity happened against him. There was a cover up. You have corrupt cops. You have cops who are willing to engage in criminal activity in order to cover up a damn traffic dispute. If they're willing to do this to cover up a traffic dispute, what else do you think they'll do? 6 Georgia cops, all of them on the scene, decided it's okay for cops to call a suspect the N-word. They are now on administrative leave. I have the video. Here it is. So what you just saw were criminals. One cop decided to start using the N-word. Obviously, the other police officers are cool with that because it's culture over policy with them. And then the second officer that you saw on the camera, he literally ripped off the video recorder from the side of the home, ripped it off, thought that was the only recording device, and threw it in the bushes. Not only is he criminal, he's dumb, because just doing that does not stop the damn video that's already been recorded. Dumbass. 6 cops are now on administrative leave. The person in charge of them, you're going to really scratch your head here. West Point, Georgia. In West Point, Georgia, 6 police officers are now on administrative leave after a resident's video went viral. The incident was captured on a camera by home security footage. An officer is seen using the N-word when referring to the homeowner's son. The officer then threw her front door camera off her porch into nearby bushes. So let's go back to what's happening here. They're looking for somebody. This is the mother's home. They're at the mother's home. They're looking for somebody. Well, in the process, the cops started using the N-word, right? No objection. Nobody said, "Oh, hey, buddy, what are you doing? Why are you talking like that?" Because their culture is pro-racism. All right, so understand this. Number 2, the officer was engaged in destruction of property. That should be a criminal charge. If you or me, Rick, walked on somebody's property, decided to rip their video off or rip their camera off of the door and throw it, well, we will be charged with a crime. That's destruction of property. That's criminal trespass. In addition to that, why did the cop do it? The why is important. He did it because he thought the N-word was captured on the video. He knew his cops were being racist. So what did he do? He tried to cover it up. Once again, that's another crime. That's called obstruction of justice. I will classify this as felony obstruction of justice. Also, is tampering with evidence because this can be used as evidence against a police officer. And it is violation of your oath of office because you have now engaged in an activity that's adversarial to the public trust. That's what you just saw within those 30+ seconds of video I showed you. Now, are they arrested? No, none of them. They are on administrative leave. It's Miss Madden's understanding. This is what the attorney said. It's Miss Madden's understanding that the police were looking for her son. When she learned of that, she turned him into the police department or the sheriff's office, said attorney Wendell Major, who represents the family. Major said he's waiting to see how the situation is handled. I do have the cops' names, so let me give them to you directly. Donald Bramblett, Dylan Harmon, Zachary Heyboer, Sergeant William Osteen, and Detective Elizabeth Wegienka are still on administrative leave over the incident. The GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, they are looking into the case. Let me say something about the GBI and how they operate in Georgia. They are not actually a prosecutorial wing of law enforcement. They are investigative only, which means they will not, do not, and cannot independently indict. What they will do is conduct an investigation and then make the investigation known, the findings known to the local prosecutor. That's typically how it works. Now, the state of Georgia can technically prosecute through the AG's office. May not happen because it's rare, but the GBI will not make a recommendation to prosecute. They never make a recommendation to prosecute. They say on record, we do not make recommendations to prosecute. Let's put up a picture of the chief of police. Well, I be damned. West Point, Georgia Police Chief Donald Britt. Now, let me say this, Chief Britt. I've done enough research to know you are a law enforcement man. You got this job because you've worked many years and you've had some controversy. Not enough for me to say you need to resign yet, but I will be very clear about my next statement. Sir, if you do not do the right thing by these cops, I will declare you to be the problem.